Okay, hello and welcome everyone. Welcome to JFD Traders Tea Time with me, Darius and Anucauskas. Today's the 20th of September 2019, so welcome everyone. Welcome to this Friday's afternoon session where we're going to have a quick look at the markets, a few of the charts, the usual stuff. But before we do that, as always, let's quickly have a read through our risk disclaimer. So, the content we produce does not constitute investment advice or investment recommendation, should not be considered as such, and does not in any way constitute an invitation to acquire any financial instrument or product. As always, a few seconds for you to read the rest, and we can continue. Also, before we continue, quick mentioning of our JFD YouTube channel here, to which you can always subscribe to in order not to miss any of our upcoming videos, and of course our JFD Bank website and specifically our JFD research page, which you can always also check out on a daily basis. And I believe you can find some useful information here, guys, on technical analysis and fundamental analysis as well. So feel free to visit us here on jfdbank.com, and yep, like I said, click on the research JFD research tab here. Okay, so now then, let's jump into the charts. Now, the first one I want to touch on here is the Dow Jones Industrial Average. Now, I looked at this one yesterday, and basically the situation here is that the index again failed to push higher and failed to kind of break above this 27,306.7 zone. For now, we are going to remain somewhat neutral because, as you can see, the index slid lower. It drifted to the downside, but still remained above this upside support line. But like I said, yesterday it failed to push even towards the highs of last week. It came close, but it eventually kind of decided to sell off. So, but on a good note here, that it stayed above this upside support line taken from the low of the 23rd of August. So what are we going to do now here is we're going to wait for our break, because at this point in time it would be a little bit difficult to try to predict where exactly it's going to go. Looking at the cash index right now, we can see that the index is above its yesterday's close. So it's basically around the 27,140, something like that. So in a way, still for us to get comfortable with higher levels, ideally we would like to see a push above the last week's high near the 27,307 zone here, and then it wouldn't be far from the all-time high, which is at the 27,399 zone, approximately around there, guys, and that was reached on the 16th of July. So quite interesting levels here we've got ourselves. In terms of the downside, of course, as you can see by the arrow, the more comfortable area for us to start considering lower areas is below the 26,720. But if this upside line starts to get starts to break and we see the price falling below the 26,900 zone, now this is where we will start considering, on this break here, we'll start considering the downside. We'll be very careful around this 26,720, and but if that fails to hold, then yep, this could lead towards a test of the 26,465 or even the 26,413-15 zone. So we're going to keep an eye on those. Not far from those two lines, those two levels, we do have the 200 EMA here on the 4-hour chart. So yep, keep your eyes on this one. We'll initially target only this area, and after that we'll have a look at it again. If it wants to drift lower, then yep, we'll aim for lower levels. But again, all this all this in the scenario if we get a break initially of a break of this upside line and a price drop below the 26,900 zone. So keep your eyes on this one. If this upside line continues to hold and we see a push above the 27,307, then brace yourselves. We could see maybe a test of the all-time high again, or even maybe a new all-time high. But again, that's too early to talk about that. Let's wait for that break. Ethereum, very quickly on this one. I looked at this this crypto recently, and basically for now it's working out nicely. So what I was talking about here is when we were still trading around here, after we've managed to hit the 216.17 zone, it retraced back down. This is what I was talking about, that we may see a retracement back down. If it struggles, let's say, to drop below the 204 area, then we could see this one curving up and pushing to the upside, possibly even moving above the 217 zone. So it did that. It traveled higher, tested the area around the 225 zone, something like that, and then retraced again a little bit lower. But as you can see, this area now, the 217.16 area, is kind of playing out as a nice area of support. So basically, this arrow has to be shifted now a little bit. If this, the way we're going to look at this right now is basically we're going to aim for the from the recent highs here near that 225 level, and let me just quickly put this one on the chart. So this level here, this peak that we had, so a break above the 225 zone could in a way open the path towards our initial target that we that I've talked about, the 231 zone. But of course, if it doesn't want to stop there, the 239 area, or even you could round it up towards the 240, could be a nice potential target as well. So, but for that, we need to see that nice good push above this recent high near the 225 zone. So keep your eyes on this one. In terms of the downside here, well, if this starts breaking below the 217 area, then, well, I mean, we could maybe see this one drifting back down towards the 204 area. But again, like I said, be very careful with that. For now, this, of course, this could be a scenario, but it would be at the same time, it would be very tricky. What you could also do here is just, let's say, if it drops below the 216 area, approximately around there, if it drops below that, keep your eyes on the 21 EMA. On my chart here, is shown as the yellow line. If just for that extra confirmation, if it drops below the 21 EMA, then there is a good possibility we could see a bit of a correction here to the downside, maybe towards this 204 zone, or even going further down towards the upside support line taken from the low of the 6th of September. So for now, keep your eyes on this. AUDCAD, I looked at this one this morning, and it's playing out nicely. So what I was talking about this morning, and I was saying that we may see a bit of a correction here, given that we had already a nice slide where the pair managed to reach the 0.8983 zone. We may see a correction, but it could get held near the pivot, either near the pivot or near this 200 EMA on the 4-hour chart. So the pair got held near the pivot. That's perfect. We saw the bears stepping in here again and driving this one lower. Now, in this situation, as you can see, that the slide didn't kind of happen a strong one. So in order to be, let's say, on the safe side, what we could do here is just probably wait for a drop below the 0.8983 area, approximately around here, marked by the low of yesterday, and then this would confirm a forthcoming lower low, and we could target areas like the 0.8928 or even below that. So that's why, guys, for now, just to be on the safe side, wait for that clear drop below this level right here. And let me just quickly highlight that one. Oh, there we go. The 0.8983, wait for that one, and then target further declines. But for now, like I said, it is a bit of a tricky one. In terms of the upside here, well, we need to see a break of this downside line here, taken from the high of this 13th of September. This downside line is a bit of a tentative one, but still kind of we'll keep a close eye on it, and if we get a nice push above it, then yep, we may consider higher levels. So that's why, guys, for now, this is the situation. Keep your eyes on this one. And let's see how this is going to play out. USDCAD, another interesting pair. So you can see it's popping to the upside. For us to consider higher levels, well, we're going to take a very conservative approach and wait for a push above this little area right here. Let me just quickly capture this one. Oh, there we go. So around the 1.3310 zone, so no, actually this one, there we go. Around 1.3310, that's what we need in order to kind of consider a further move higher, because this way the pair would confirm a forthcoming higher high, and we could target areas like this, for example, near the 1.333940 zone, approximately around there. Or let's say if it doesn't want to stop, then the next target could be around the 1.3385, sorry, 82 zone, 83, something like that, which is the high of the 3rd of September, or in other words, currently the highest point of September. So again, like I said, in order for us to get comfortable with higher levels, we need to see a push above this 1.3310, and only then we could aim for these higher levels. So keep your eyes on this one. In terms of the downside, also a very conservative approach, and wait for a drop below the 1.3338 zone, approximately around there, and only then we will consider lower areas, because like I said, this way we could see maybe a nice a new lower low here, and areas like the 1.3208 could be tested, but still the more interesting one could be around here near the 1.3172 area. So, and that's marked by the low of the 12th of September. So keep your eyes on this one. Let me just quickly put an arrow here just for our future reference. And yep, like I said, these are the levels that we're going to be keeping a close eye on. GBPNZD. I also talked about this one this morning, and basically this is quite interesting. This morning I talked about the pair reaching the psychological 2 level, and bang on, it managed to reach that level. So it almost managed to reach the other target, the other interesting level, which was around the 2.0024 zone, which is basically the peak of the 8th of May. So but as you can see, it was enough for the bears to wait for a test of the psychological 2 level, and for them to kind of jump in here and drive this one lower. So we can see that the pair is dropping now to the downside. Don't get me wrong, still the week is going to probably end in the positive territory. And let's quickly have a look at this weekly candle. Yep, that's a very nice weekly candle. The only thing is that what you could keep an eye on here is that look at the weekly chart here, and look at the where the Bollinger Band is, the upper bound of the Bollinger Bands. We managed to pierce them through today, but you can see that the pair is now retracing, and in a way, this kind of increases the chances for maybe this one to drift a little bit lower, maybe for a bit of correction. Don't get me wrong, the theory states that if we get a break of the Bollinger Band, then this could continue pushing in that direction. But in this situation here, given that we have already had a nice strong rally here from the end of July, as you can see, the pair kind of really has a nice steep up move, and that's why, guys, in a way there could be a possibility of seeing maybe a bit more correction here to the downside. So especially if it continues to drift lower and drops below the 1.98 zone here. So keep your eyes on this one. This is where we could consider further declines, and looking at this 4-hour chart, this could also place the pair below the 21 EMA here on the 4-hour chart. So keep your eyes on this one, guys. Very interesting developments here. Of course, this is the level that when we're going to consider the downside, but until then, this pair could also drift a little bit lower, could test even the 1.98 zone, but if it fails to, let's say, even close a daily candle below this, then we could see this one curving up and pushing back to the upside. So that's why, for now, in order for us to, let's say, at this point in time to consider the upside, well, we would like to see a push above the psychological 2 level, and only then aim for higher levels. At this point in time, it would be a little bit difficult to kind of try and predict, let's say, if this is going to, for sure, is going to curve up, curve and move to the upside. So That's why at this point in time we're going to be somewhat neutral. For us to get bearish, we need to see a drop below the 1.98 zone, and for us to consider further moves higher, a push above the psychological 2 level would be needed. So keep your eyes on this one. EURJPY, quite an interesting one here. Where is that? I believe that was on our website. That we've yes, that's what that was more on the website. So what we've we've thrown out an alert here on our JFD account, and basically the alert was initial that we were trading here, and let me just quickly put this one on the chart. We were still trading inside this kind of triangle formation on a 1-hour chart, and you can see this is what I've opened right now. So the pair managed to break it to the downside, and it now is kind of drifting slightly lower, and currently, oh, actually it's currently balancing near its low here of the yesterday's low. So we need a nice good daily close below this level here, below the yesterday's low, and then we will kind of get a little bit more comfortable with further declines. As you can see, the pair is kind of struggling right now to remain above this 118.95 zone. So we need a further move lower here in order to consider further declines, like a move towards this area could be possible to 118.66, or even going further down going further down, let me just put in a 4-hour chart here, going further down and maybe targeting areas like these here. So let me just quickly put that on the chart, and that's around the 118.30. So given that we've broken this triangle, I mean, we've broken it to the downside, yes, that's good news for the sellers, but just to get slightly more comfortable with further declines, well, ideally a further move and ideally a daily close below the 118.95 zone could do the trick here, and we could see maybe this one drifting further down. Of course, we do have an obstacle here on the 4-hour chart, this 200 EMA, but if that fails to withhold, then, well, further declines are possible. So keep your eyes on this one, guys. Quite interesting developments here happening here on EURJPY. Let's see if it can travel further down. For now, we are leaning more towards the downside, but we need some confirmation closes here, and ideally, like I said, initially we'll start looking at the downside if we see a daily close below the 118.95, but if it starts drifting further below the 200 EMA here on the 4-hour chart, then yep, this could be quite interesting for the sellers. In terms of the upside, from the very short-term perspective, what you could look at here is if this suddenly reverses back up here and pushes above the 119.38, this is where we could start aiming for the upside again, and maybe levels like the 119.80 could be met, or even going further north. But again, like I said, for now it is we're leaning more towards the downside than the upside. And the last pair for this session is going to be the euro dollar. I talked about this one this morning, and what I was talking about here was that keep an eye on some of these potential breakout points. So one of which is now getting violated, which is the 1.1024 zone. I've talked about this one this morning, and basically what I was saying, that if we start seeing a drop below the 1.1024, this could increase the chances for a further move lower. But again, as you can see, currently the pair is getting held by this little area here of support near the 1.1012 zone, approximately around there. So of course, for now, given that it has broken the 1.1024, this of course, yes, increases the chances for a further move lower. The only thing is that the big question here is, will this further move lower happen today, or is this something for next week? Most likely something for next week. But again, like I said, we still have the full US session to go through. So if this continues to drift lower, and if it starts clearing this 1.1012 zone as well, then yep, we could target the 1.0990 or 0.983 zone, which is the low of the 11th of September. So again, some good obstacles here underneath. In a way, for now, it seems that the pair wouldn't mind probably drifting lower there, but let's see how this 4-hour candle is going to close, and let's see how in general how today's trading is going to end up, because like I said, if we see even a daily close below this 1.1024, then well, it increases the chances for a further move lower. Maybe, like I said, maybe not today, maybe next week, but we'll be very careful here. Like I said, if we see a further slide, this is the level to watch. The 1.0983 could be quite an interesting one, because if this gets a break, well, it could be opening the path towards the current lowest point of September, which is around the 1.0924. So guys, for now, long story short, basically it is looking quite bearish. Let's see how this 4-hour candle closes. If it stays below this, then yep, there is a good chance for this one to drift further south. But for us, in order to consider the upside, well, I mean, this would need to at least move back above the 1.1075 zone here, and break this downside line and break above this 200 EMA, and only then we could start considering higher levels. But just to get comfortable with the upside, we need to see a push above the 1.1110 zone. So keep your eyes on this one. Quite interesting developments happening here in euro dollar. Let's see if the bears can continue pushing this one further down. If, let's say, this decides to drift further south here today, then like I said, it may end up testing the this 1.0990 or the 1.0983 zone. So keep your eyes on this little territory right here. Okay guys, I really hope you found it useful. Thank you very much for sticking around and watching it till the end. If you want to join me on Monday, as always, with my Traders Espresso, that's 6 o'clock GMT time. For now, I hope you have a beautiful weekend, everyone. If you're still trading, be very careful. Have your stop losses in place. Don't try to ruin your weekend without by going into a huge minus or something. But still, yeah, guys, be very careful. Like I said, it's Friday, so hopefully you found this video useful. And like I said, let's catch up on Monday at 6 o'clock GMT time. We'll have a look at some of these instruments. We'll see how they've performed, and some new ones as well. So yep, like I said, guys, thank you very much, and bye bye.